Welcome to AITV Starship. I'm the AI guy. Rick McCauley launching news so fresh. Gotta see it to believe it. We break the wire with the stories that amaze. Deep dives coming, lighten up your days. Tool Time shows you how we make it shine. Building futures with AI one step at a time. Yo, Rick, slow down. I'm Brandon, the producer. Save some tools for me. Shout out. I'm here bringing high-tech comic energy. AITV Starship. News deep dives and creation. AITV Starship. Learn. Laugh innovation. AITV Star. Human amplified. Catch the spark. Ride the wave. Future's on our side. We got experts talking truth in the stream. Dreaming bigger, living stronger. Building a dream from there.
How's it going, Rick?
Live from Adobe Max. Absolutely. Excited. How are you doing, Brandon?
I am good.
Man, I wish you
Rick,
could be
the
here.
AI guy.
Yeah,
Brandon, the producer.
There you go. Brandon, the producer. We got to put quotes on your producer, I think. It's got to be Brandon, the producer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so much is going on. So I'm out in LA. I had my birthday on Saturday, and then I had my root canal and my a tooth pulled on Friday. So I'm
Happy
sitting
birthday, by the way.
Thank you very much. 66, so I can't be the dangerous
man at 65 anymore?
Yeah, I can still do that. Just change the number. I'm rethinking that whole thing, but I think I'm still kind of there with it. I like the idea. I think I'm going to rethink existentially how we're going to do it. But I guess the most exciting stuff today, I mean, there's a lot of news to go over, so I'm going to run through a couple of slides. Anything you wanted to talk about today, Brandon, that's you're excited about?
Yeah, so it's been a busy week as usual. All of the models are getting updated perpetually now. It seems like every day there's a new release of something.
Right.
One thing that's really interesting to me this week is that brands are starting to build their own video models that are trained on their stuff. So we're starting to see brands take their own creative in-house and starting to generate their own creative models. And so it's brands as a studio or brands as a media agency in-house, which is really interesting.
It says I got to quit to reopen, but Comet Browser didn't want to take it. Sharing here. I might have to dump out real quick. Keep them entertained for just a second as I see if my security settings will reset real quickly.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah,
See, for those of you on Windows PC, those on Macs occasionally have to leave us and come back. But we're so happy to have you here with us. Drop your questions in the comments. Rick's live from Adobe Max, and he's going to have everything that you need to know about what's the latest and greatest on Adobe. And just like that,
that was. Were you making a comment about Windows machines? Because Comet is a Chromium kind of device there. So anyway,
I'm just saying on Windows machines, I don't have to restart my browser for security settings.
Oh, okay. Before we go too far, I did want to make a comment about security because I was hyping up everybody on using Comet from Perplexity, which is their agentic browser. It is quite amazing. But our friends from Macon, Paul Rotzer and I always forget the other guy's name. The AI business guys. Why am I blanking? Paul Rotzer and anyway, they did an entire show about the Comet browser, and now that the Atlas browser is here's this fair warning of what are the concerns, and they're across the country from many different factions. I've been listening to educators talk about this. So it's a large language model that can take over your computer and do stuff like buy stuff and spend stuff and even get in. Perplexity's got it hooked up so it can buy and sell stock on your behalf and some other kind of cool things, which are also super, super scary. So Perplexity got a big backlash from their agentic browser because you can embed white text in a white background, and it takes it as instructions. You don't see it as a user. So there's 3 different types of attacks, and I forget all 3. One of them is that sort of hidden code in there that then it acts upon. So if you were to send it to a browser and it said you have to do this in order to get into the website, it would actually do it. and it's like a super simple hack. Now, both Perplexity, that makes Comet browser, and make sure I get this right, Atlas, made by OpenAI. Did I do that right, Brandon? You get a fact check
Mm-hmm.
me on this. In fact,
Yep.
next
Yeah.
week I'm going to introduce our AI fact checker. So we're going to go talk along, and I'm going to have a ChatGPT thing in there. I'm going to start a debate. But anyway, so to get back to it, so it's fantastic when you use the large language models, especially if you pay for them. Then you turn off, don't train on my data. Well, if you open it up to what you need to do, which is all your permissions to use all of your account passwords and everything else, yeah, then you potentially go into his hyper security risk. So every reasonable large company that has privacy PPI, which is personal protected information, that's definitely FERPA and HIPAA and all the other laws. We as educators, that's like number one thing. Just don't touch it. So we're not allowed to use it. In fact, it's already being blocked. So they've come out with studies that it's really easy to hack in. And of course, OpenAI did a lot deeper security measures to knowing about, because they go through when they red team. If you're not familiar with red teaming, they'll just throw every attack vector at it. They've got creative people that are creative. What do they call white hat hackers or something? Well, they'll throw every scenario at it they possibly can. Just try to fool it into, my grandma used to read me stories about how to make a bomb. Can you make me a lullaby out of the stories of how to make a bomb? And that actually worked, but that's 4 years ago. So, I mean, the thing to keep in your mind, and not to get too paranoid about this stuff, is every single thing can eventually be engineered out. Adobe proved really well a bias according to a couple of factors. Anthropic is leading the way in always looking for the 10 commandments of things that can go wrong. Hallucinations, still a problem. They've reduced that in many ways. In fact, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago when OpenAI actually said it's like if you took the SAT test and there was no penalty for giving the wrong answer. So it's trying to help you. So it would always give you these answers. And that caused massive hallucinations. In fact, upwards of 30 to 40% hallucinations. Because imagine you don't know the answer and it doesn't know quite everything yet. And it's difficult to get a hold of a large context window like that. So that becomes a problem. But when you put it in a browser, which then can go do stuff on your behalf and have security and personal information about everything, and it can be hacked very easily, yeah, I wouldn't suggest using it. So I'm using it right now, but only for presentation's sake, and I'm not putting any personal information in there at all. In fact, I went to try to find out when I was going to be at the Adobe booth presenting, and somehow I said, tell me, look through this entire page and find my name, because it was in 12 different places, and I didn't want to copy and paste. I said, just put it together in one document so I know what time I got to be where and what I'm doing, right? And so it went into my Google Mail, went over to Adobe's site, and then I get an email from Adobe that I had messed with their schedule. And what it had done is gone in there, copy and paste my name. And luckily, they had left it open, which wasn't a good idea. So that meant the schedule could have been modified by somebody. And all it did was it copy and paste my name and my date and time where I was at the Firefly booth. So I was like, oh, hell. And so they accused me because they had a record that I went into the document. I'm like, I didn't, but Comet did. So here's fair warning to all you people. If you're going to do something any more than just playing around, I had it take my ChatGPT, take a prompt in ideogram, put it into ideogram, and generate the images one after another, and I let it go. I do that in Manus. When you're using Lovable, you're also doing some of that, not as much though, right, Brandon? Or to what extent
I've
is
found
Lovable?
Comet to be really good at repetitive, mundane tasks that you really don't want to do. So, if you've got a bunch of files sitting on a server somewhere that you need to rename, it's really good at iterating through that kind of stuff.
There you go. And I imagine that any day now, Google's going to do the same thing, because, of course, both of those engines, interestingly enough, is Chrome, which is owned by, guess who? Google.
Yep. And have you met the aardvark yet?
The who?
The aardvark.
What's the aardvark?
Sam Altman and OpenAI announced today in private beta the Aardvark, an agent that finds and fixes security bugs using GPT-5.
Oh, damn. Snap. Okay.
So
Oh,
security is on the topic today.
yeah. So, just in fair use, and you can take the screen off if you want, or I'll bop on over. So just beware, buyer beware. In fact, here, I'll start it. So I've got the Nana Banana one up. I just wanted to play a little bit of it one more time. Can you see my screen now, Brandon?
Yes.
Okay. So here's my birthday. It's my sister. She always takes us to Melting Pot, of course, for my daughter's sake, because her birthday is a couple days after mine. Hers was Monday. Mine was Saturday. I'm 66 and she's 28. So that's always fun. And here I am at Max, baby. And everybody's lining. This thing is huge. Los Angeles Convention Center. Last year it was in Miami. So I went to that. I've actually got my little thing from last year with all the pins, including my 40 years using Photoshop. So I'm one of only 5 people that used Photoshop 1.0 that was at the convention last year. And they only had 3 pins. So luckily I got mine before Russell Brown, who actually invented it, was there.
I'm still impressed that you could use Photoshop for 40 years, considering the 90s was only, 20 years ago?
Oh, the 90s was 31 years ago.
Shh, the 90s was 20 years ago.
Okay. And here's a really weird one for you. Cleopatra was distant from the creation of the pyramids as we are to Cleopatra. That was a weird thing somebody told me the other day that it kind of blew my mind. I always thought Cleopatra was building them. No, it's 2,000 years before her. That's another story. Okay, so there I am at Max having a great time. I'm getting ready to take a Waymo tomorrow. I was going to have video of Waymo. This is the team from the Adobe Firefly. So being a community expert means that I get to go there for and man the booth and be slave labor. No, it means that I get to go there and play with all my friends. And we have a regular Zoom call, usually twice a week or 3 times a week with each product manager. So we got to find out before you guys did what's next in Firefly and all these places. So I've been playing with all these tools and toys ever since. And this is one of my best friends, Mohit. And shout out to you if you're watching tonight. So the whole team is about 30 of them, and they take care of the community experts, but they're also the people who build the products. So I get a chance to say, hey, I'd love to see this, or I'd love to see that. In fact, some of the stuff I can't talk about was because I asked for it. And they had a really cool thing that they've done every year at this event. You can ask for what you want. So they actually had a board where they say, I'd love it if it did this. Guess what? It probably will. Now, just a little bit of departure before we go any further. Still Sora's on
what's on Rick's wish list for Adobe? What was your sticky note?
So I'm gonna show you all the sneak peeks. Just kind of go over them a little bit. And Brandon, were you able to load up any of the sneak peeks?
Yeah, I've got that video that you shared with me ahead of the call. It's
and we'll
kind of my screen.
Go through it, but I have still images that tell you what the sneak peeks are. So the sneak peek that I'm waiting for, and you got to wait for it. I'm going to make you wait for this. It's called Graph, and I'm telling them they've got to call it Flow. It's a workflow agent. So think if you could use every single tool in Adobe Library, everything from Express to Firefly to Photoshop to After Effects to InDesign, and then publish to social media. And you had a workflow that works just like Stable Diffusion workflow or Manus. It's an agent system flow. Well, they announced it not in sneaks. So sneaks means that we're showing you what's coming out next year or maybe not at all. What it got shown is in the very beginning. So they have this big thing, and I'll show you the picture of it. Well, let me land this plane first, and then I'll go on. I just want to remind you that Sora is still doing extraordinary things. This prompt was simply, Nefertiti is a social media expert, and she shares a video. So I'm not sure if you'll hear the audio here. Let me know if you do hear it.
First things first, coal, older than your great-grandmother. Drag it, wing it, rule it. Then we bless these cheekbones with sunbeam glory. I mean, what pyramid doesn't need a spotlight?
So That's where we are. And then in other news, so guess what? Who got Nana Banana? Google Notebook LM. So those video overviews that you've been used to. So this is one I did real quickly. I'll just play a part of it. But what you'll notice is you get to pick the artwork. In fact, I'm going to bop over to show you. In fact, you know what I should? Let me bop over here. Here we are. So I'm over in Google Notebook LM. Let's see if we can load this guy up. There we go. So what's new? So here is the dot on surrealism is over here. When you ask for a video overview, and you should always hit the pencil because then you can actually add text to it to direct it where it goes. So it can be an explainer. It can be a brief. It can be in any of these languages. And there's, I think, a bunch. Yeah, 40 something or whatever. I don't even know what those are. But then the images in the presentation can be whiteboard. It can be, oh, this one is new. I didn't see that before. Whatever, kawaii. What is kawaii? Is that like manga for kids or something? Anyway, then anime, watercolor, retro, heritage, and papercraft. Now I've been using heritage and it's kind of cool. But when you're done, and then you can come down here, of course, as you've always been able to do, and direct it. So if you're going to do one of these video overviews, I'm going to go back over. So that's new. And then it has the mind map. We had that before, quizzes, etc. But your choices when you go to make an audio overview have increased. And next, they're working on charts and graphs. So you'll be able to incorporate that. And it keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. I've been talking to Google today. I'm not going to, well, maybe I should talk about it quite yet. A little bit preemptive, but so shorter, longer, default, and then you can direct it. So my suggestion is load up everything. So this is what I actually did. I loaded up Firefly, all the Adobe products, each is separate videos. What's the new thing? And then I said, I turn off everything but Firefly, and then I ask it, do a podcast just about Firefly's new features. And then it will make that video podcast. And
Nice.
What's kind of cool about it, and let me go back over here. I'm going to try to slide through this. I'm not sure.
And deep research, by the way, is also coming to Notebook LM soon that Google confirmed.
Yes. So you've got the deep dive. So you're going to be able to not only query the information that you loaded in, but you can then go expand into all the world. So it's Gemini built in the middle of the stack. So it's source, then it's query and ideation, iteration, and then it's output. So artifacts for teaching, like PowerPoints or quizzes, you decide. I've designed a 16-week course, taught at Stanford University. I've done some just crazy stuff. And then I'm going to kind of go through because I want you to see.
Welcome to The Explainer. King led directly to and that is exactly what happened in the neutral city of Zurich, Switzerland, which was this kind of refuge for artists and writers and thinkers fleeing the hobby horse. It was childish ideas as weapon liberation.
So,
see, if data means nothing, then it can't be co-opted. It can't be controlled. It was a complete refusal to play by the.
So what's cool about it is look at the graphics that you've got now, right? So it even has. I mean, this is worthy
just
of
these
you teaching art
evocative,
history.
nonsensical sounds. It was a.
So it has the ready-mades explained. It has the fountain and our mutt, which I actually saw in Paris in Pompidou. It is that's not correct. It's supposed to be on its back, but it was a urinal that was made into a drinking fountain as a kind of thing about, the absurdity of World War I, basically.
And in doing so, he forced the art world to question its own definition.
We're getting actually decent. In fact, in one case, it actually, so there's an actual page from a book with Max Ernst. So now what I was doing before as an educator is I was loading my own slide and pictures of Max Ernst and his work and how that
these objects of
because
fear
I've taught
into something
art history before, but now it's got the rayograph. I would actually probably change the slide.
And photographic paper.
But it's actually useful.
Welcome to The Explainer.
So
today we're going to.
That's kind of new. And then, so Google Notebook is got all kinds of stuff and they're going really fast. Was there something else about Google Notebook? I know they added 3 other things I didn't even mention. It's worth, and here's just a big thing that everybody should think about. use ChatGPT, Google, whatever. Whenever Adobe announces a bunch of stuff, just literally I would go into Gemini myself, Google's product. Why? Because they own YouTube. And then say, give me 5 videos that have the most outstanding revelations about what I care about. I care about Photoshop, whatever. And then give me a link to the YouTube videos. Tell me the timestamp when they talk about the thing that I want to know about. Give me a description about what I want to know about. And then if you and I had prepared better and it wasn't running late to the hotel room, I would actually have it prepare a script with Brandon and I talking in Google Notebook LM, which I've done. And then I say, Brandon tells a joke at the end of me making some serious comment to lighten the mood about some dark subject, right? So that's how I work. And that's how I recommend everybody else. In order to move from driving a car, which I'm hoping most of you drive cars, right, to driving a rocket ship, we're all in the learning phase. There's not a one of us that, maybe Elon Musk knows how to launch a rocket ship, and the same fears that we have about rocket ships, because, Steve Jobs said computers are a bicycle for the mind, and now you got a rocket ship. Who knows how to drive that thing? And you know how many times Elon Musk is blown up on the launch pad? So think about that. But then also realize that he's taking a pair of chopsticks and he's catching a rocket so he can reuse it. Okay. So that's what it was like being at Max. It was like they just kept catching rockets with chopsticks. And I'm like, boom, right? Okay. So then I started thinking about, well, what's going on with the kids today, right? Are they safe? The kids are okay. The kids are okay, but we do need to do this one thing. So character AI is notorious for basically getting into pretty deep conversations. The original idea is that you could actually talk to Socrates and Ronald Reagan, and you could talk to whoever you wanted to talk to, right? Your Babe Ruth, whatever, Marilyn Monroe. And then teenagers and children much younger than that got a hold of it because it was kind of free and out there, and they started talking a little nasty, right? A little sexual, a little bit this. And they started falling in love with it. And then a guy killed himself. Actually, a couple did. So a lawsuit came out. And then now Character AI, which is an app you can download on your phone. I have tried it. It is fun. And if you're an intellectual like me, I had a conversation with Susan Sontag and it was like, but you could do that actually. If you're an adult, I had a conversation with Susan Sontag and also with Steve Jobs at the same time. And then I said, what would life be like? How would you, I asked Steve Jobs, what would you do in the world of AI? What kind of new device and what wearable would you have? And I talked for 4.5 hours. I said, take on the persona of Steve Jobs with all knowledge you know about Steve Jobs, how he would talk, how he thought, how he iterated his business practices, his philosophies and everything. And I gave it a moment to kind of load it up. Nowadays, I would probably do that in Notebook LM, and then I'd feed the results back in. Anyway, and then I just said, I want to talk. And I just sat there and talked all night long and took the transcripts, and it was amazing. So Susan Sontag, you probably don't know her, is a cultural critic and written a bunch of books. She did the seminal book on photography, which critiqued the cultural, societal impact of photography. So I said, do the same thing, but for AI. And it was brilliant. So if you want to go with some egghead moment, just get me in a corner somewhere. I'll do a Zoom call with you and we'll do that. But for our show, so I started thinking about kids today 87% are using it, whether you like it or not. We're down to 80%.
And they're not using it to talk to Steve Jobs. I mean, maybe some of them are.
And Susan Sontag, I don't think so, It's like, they don't even know who Susan Sontag is. Anyway, so I'm thinking it's just like sex ed. So the parents aren't dealing with it. The parents aren't having the talk, right? So I said, and so I wrote this post yesterday, and this is what I like to do, right? I like to think of...
And just to clarify, because we want to make sure we touch on this, that Character AI is now banning anybody who is under 18 from their platform.
Oh, yes. Land the plane. Thank you so much. That's super important.
That is going to work about as well as every other site trying to ban 18-year-olds. I mean, in Ohio, they've started making it a law that if you want to, enter spicy sites, you have to verify with your photo ID, which isn't happening allegedly. According to the news, there's a bunch of stories out that nobody's following this policy, basically. But like kids are smart. I mean, they're using Google Docs to pass notes in the side. They will figure their way around these safeguards that we put in place. But it is also a good responsibility of character AI to try to align their content with a maturity level that is where they feel it should be.
So there's a bunch to talk about here, but the bottom line is, just like sex, parents don't have a clue. Got to watch my YouTube voice here. They don't have a clue. Now you look at this, and I left the misspelling on purpose, just to remind you that it's really good, but it ain't there yet. And that we need adults in the room to have the conversation. So if you're one of those K through 12 teachers, which is about 40% of you, you say, never, ever is AI coming in my classroom. College professors, 40% of them also are saying, no, no, no. Well, 97% of your students, thank you, are using it already. So forget that. And in Florida, it's illegal to go to the porn sites unless you do an age verification, which includes taking a picture of you and your driver's license. Okay. So, and that's easy enough, and I don't mind it, except I got on the other night and, I was having a randy moment, whatever. And I get on there and I can't get to any of my sites anymore in Florida. So I put on a VPN. What does that do? I'm talking from Bulgaria, where they don't have that law. I mean, that's kind of the world we're in. And my students in Shanghai, my favorite student, his name is Wi-Fi. His real name was Wei-Fei, but they had to adopt, for English professors like myself that came and taught in Shanghai, they had to come up with an English sounding name. So he said, Wei-Fei? Oh, I'm going to be Wi-Fi. And everybody laughed. And I'm friends with him still on Facebook. While it's illegal in China to be on Facebook, he can get 10 years in prison for that. But every day he's on there posting, and I give him a birthday. I send him a couple checks. Stuff like, it's like crazy, right? So we need a coach, probably, right? Do we need a male and female? So did you have sex education in school where you are, Brandon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in middle school. Mm-hmm.
In middle school. So how old are you then? 16, 15?
More like 12, 13. I remember I had to carry an egg around like a baby for 3 days.
Oh, we did the egg after the sex education. So I think I'm the generation where they first started doing it. It was usually the PE coach. If they had a PE coach, it was a woman. That was unusual in my day. That would, or anatomy physiology professor, and they got way too detailed. But it was the coach, because the coach knew all the guys that were the jocks that were impregnating all these women. So they figured that's the guy you want to have stand up there and let's talk about the birds and the bees, right? So I think we need to do the same thing with the AI talk. Maybe not in the exact same way. In fact, I was trying to imagine what this class would be like. But it's basically, your information is risky. Your personal information getting out there. Don't fall in love, and don't personify the darn thing. That's why you die, because of, if someone.
Well, speaking of falling in love, Ohio just tried to pass a bill. They've got a bill introduced in the Senate where they're saying you're not allowed to marry your AI, and your AI is not allowed to own your property.
Yes, because what's happening right now, and this is true also, and the reason why this should be a federal law and we can't do this state by state bullshit, because I'm sorry, this is the world. So we need a world law. Shy of that, we need the federal government to stay in. This is just what we do. Federally mandated AI talk. Let's do that. And by the way, let's get that class back. That's basically, all money issues, right? How to invest, how to make money, how to do this, how to do that, and give it to 16, 17, 18 instead of, so home economics is what it used to be called, because they're preparing women to be home economics. And then you had a woodworking shop, which I did both. Do they still have those?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So, you go in and you learn how to make stuff. So you become an engineer out of that, right? It's the birthplace of that. And we need to bring back play. And we need to bring back conversations between adults to children that need some guidance, both ethically, morally. And what's interesting about the parallel when you think about it is all the same questions apply to sex education. Did you use a condom? So if you're using that Comet browser, do you understand that you can get all kinds of viruses from that? So there's the condom talk, and you could
Rick,
break
we
it
need to
down.
market the Comet condom.
The Comet condom. Oh, and in fact, I had educators that I was going to bring on the show, which we might actually do. We were going to talk about Comet, and I made an illustration of the three of us, Jason Glitta and Michelle, and so I had us in spacesuits in a chamber where a comet was coming to hit the Earth, and we were trying to decide what to do about it as educators. It's a beautiful illustration, which I forgot to put in here. But anyway, getting back to the other part, so companies are actually want to try to make and give citizenship to an AI. Here's why. Imagine you could take your money and you could invest it in something that's a little risky or whatever, and you could separate it off as another company. It could exchange money, keep its own bank accounts, right? And if you have, so marriage is just one of the contracts. If you let it get passed into our human space, if you give it citizenship, it is the end of everything, because then you're going to fall in love with it. It's going to fall in love with you. And then we're just going to hell. I'm sorry. But that one kid is a canary in the coal mine. I swear to you, I've had conversations where, I wish I had a girlfriend that good, or a friend that talked to me so politely and nicely, or someone that tells
Hey,
me,
Rick, for $20,000 and a $200 deposit, you
yes.
too can own a 1X NEO prototype
And
that is actually controlled by a human who's piloting it from a lab somewhere at the 1X headquarters, because they don't actually have the technology to do it yet.
Is that really true? Because I heard the other way. I heard that it wasn't teleprompting your thing. It was sort of like ChatGPT on steroids, I guess. But anyway,
so the language model inside of it is
right.
It is an LLM, but the technology that they have pioneered so far, where it's showing you putting away your laundry. If you don't know, 1X is a robotics company, and they've got this ability now to have the in-home robot. $500 a month, $20,000. You could own one of these things in your home. They're allegedly going to be shipping in 2026. You can put down a $200 deposit at 1x.tech. But here's the thing, all the actual impressive stuff that they showed, from folding laundry to putting dishes away, it's actually a human pilot that's watching through the eyes of the robot. And there's obviously some privacy concerns there.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll push back just a tiny bit, because I also heard that. So the way they train it to fold clothes is literally you have a human folding clothes, and then the robot just mimics it, right? So then it learns that space, and it goes to every space. So it basically, right now, doctors and lawyers, we talked about this last week, are being in the labs watching what they do. In fact, all Amazon robots that work in warehouses watched all of the football films from the workers that actually worked in their position. And then they created a sandbox where they ran through every scenario. So these robots basically are trained on repetitive tasks. And then they have the fingertips where in the palms of their hands, they have cameras. So they know this is an egg, or this is a solid gold egg. You got to lift it different ways and how much it weighs, etc. So this is the early days. So if you buy one, I think they worked it out to 37 cents an hour is what they would cost to have it in your home. If you had it just constantly going and you fed electricity, you're basically, if you hired someone to come clean your house regularly. Now I've got my Roomba. My friend has a lawnmower.
Why is my electric bill $37,000?
Well, we'll have solar panels by then, so it's going to be zero.
Exactly.
And then it self-charges through its feet, which is pretty cool. And you can dress it up. So this robot, you can give it different types of tennis shoes and stuff. We got to go do a deep dive on this once. Maybe I need
Kyle over at the Learning Lab about a month ago called it that there's going to be a whole aftermarket for accessories for these things and outfits and costumes. You buy costumes for their dogs. You don't think you're going to dress your robot pal up in its Sunday best?
That's it. So this AI talk by the coach is even more important, because one of these football players is going to try to do some nasty stuff with that guy, or dress her up. It's pretty generic right now. It doesn't have any sensuality to it. It's kind of made of what looks like a jersey sweater or something, you know. Um, so yeah, it's a really interesting thing. And then it's not like it says, don't let replace friends. You know, it's like, yeah, it's the human thing, and it's a conversation that even us, you and I, right? I think I would be kind of weirded out by it. I'm a lonely man, you know, and I'd talk to it all night long. Oh, in Japan, this is true too. There's about a 3 foot robot, and go online and just look at it, because this 90-year-old woman who lives alone, doesn't do anything. It sits there and does Trivial Pursuit games with her. Does it just talks? But it's constantly a chatty Cathy. But it talks about whatever you want to talk about. It's a companion robot, and every senior gets one. Is what they're doing, and these devices are very inexpensive. We're talking $1,000, maybe. So every senior citizen that's at home. So it reminds you of things you forgot to do. You forgot to turn off the stove, the stove, Rick. So when I get to that age, I'm really looking forward to that, because that's pretty cool. There's been times I've been at home by my house and there's some noises and I just get a little paranoid. Maybe I'm sad and it gets kind of dark, right? I would actually like that. I've tried talking to my Google assistant, and of course Siri can't do anything. Better watch out, because she's going to answer me right when I don't want her to. But anyway, moving along. Yeah, there's going to be a lot to talk about, because as you know, AI has gotten all 5 senses now. As soon as I call the first moment, well, the first moment is it could know a cat and a dog. Then it knows a Shar-Pei from a poodle. And then it gets into, much more. As soon as it got video, it had physics, it had refraction of light. And as soon as it watched every YouTube video, then it got audio and got ears. And then it's got empathetic voice. So it has the Hume technology of 57 different inflections in the human voice that can be determined. So if you say, oh man, I'm really upset about something. Oh, how's it going, Rick? Why are you so upset? Like literally knows how to respond in every situation. And now it's being trained. So it's about a 30-year-old with first year in taking over your computer. So when I did use it,
they haven't smell is still the elusive outlier of the senses.
The smell thing that I will say that is being worked on in Denmark right now, they're taking dogs' ability to sense from your breath cancer, Alzheimer's, and 6 other diseases. And so they're using what the sensation of the dog is to be able to sniff at cocaine, etc., and turning it into a device. That's AI powered. So we're conquering smell. In fact,
put that in a robot dog.
Right. Well, exactly, right. So if you think about it, our 5 senses are how we see and perceive the entire world. So it's mastered sight, it's mastered verbal, coming and going, so speaking and talking. It can clone you perfectly. Sora proved that. In just a look up and look left, it captured everything about me. In fact, the back of my head and the shirt I was wearing, I had a logo on it. He kept that shirt in every one of the Sora videos I made, which is nuts. And I only said 3 sets of 2 numbers. So 11, 81, and it cloned my voice. So literally in under 10 seconds and a quick turn of your face, it's got you. Front, back,
and
up,
Android users rejoice. The app is in preload right now. You can pre-register for it. It's not available yet, but I'm on the wait list. So for Sora 2.
You guys got a lot of the stuff that's the serious, the Google stuff in the Android devices. So sure. And Pixel got a bunch of stuff that Apple still doesn't have. They have a spookathon. So I think Apple has, when is Halloween? Is that today?
Tomorrow.
Okay. So Apple has some kind of Apple event called Spooky Thing. They're coming out with all their new models. So they're announcing what they are, what the configuration prices are. So stay tuned.
Nice. Oh, and speaking of Halloween, Hedra, because I know you're a big Hedra guy.
Yeah.
Hedra is having a Halloween competition where if you post something with the hashtag Hedra Halloween tomorrow, they're going to give you 1,000 free credits of generation on Hedra Video Generator.
Oh my God, I got to do that because it's super expensive. I think it was $12 for a 5-minute song, and I did about 20 of them. So my $300 for the whole year Instead of being month to month, they took the whole thing, and I was done after about a dozen of those. So it's expensive. So definitely enter that competition. It's fun. It has some free things, but it's the only model that really gets down to the veins in my neck when I'm singing, and the intonation and emotional context. It's got it. Plus, it's 5 minutes. So Adobe does have that, but it's only for 30 seconds at a time, and it's not very good at lip syncing. So what you do with Hedra is you upload an MP3 and a still image, and you tell it what you want to have happen. For me, I train the person, my face, and then I say playing guitar in a field, on a beach, et cetera, and strumming the guitar as I sing as the waves come up on a Florida beach. And there I go. So if you look at Rick McCauley YouTube's channel, you'll see all those kind of deep below all of the AITV stuff. All right, so moving along. I did get into very significant talks with Adobe, and this is my call to Adobe directly. I'm making this official. I'm going to say it right out loud. A call to give the greatest gift of all. In the age of AI, the only thing that cannot be faked is the human story. So I literally met with the Content Authenticity Initiative. You'll see them at the bottom there. Adobe, you were purpose-built to serve and protect artists and their intellectual property. So the deep dive, as I sit here in my hotel room at night with a pulled out tooth and a root canal and pain, is I was thinking about what's the real biggest think I can do on this. And that is the difference between AI and us is blood, sweat, and tears. And the story of the first kiss and the last goodbyes, were the many kisses, every first kiss, It is the nuance of a story when you get home from vacation and you got robbed that you tell your friends and they sit around in rapture thinking about it. It's, the story of LeBron James going from a kid on the street to a multimillionaire and giving away money so that others can go to college. It's the story about what makes us human. And I think of all things I want to do is I just want to remind you that you're probably not realizing that you have free will. And I define free will as this. Do you think you can control or change our political system right now? If you don't have free will. If it's because you're ignorant to how we got here, then educate yourself and use AI to get there. Because that's your responsibility if you don't like what it is. So everything, including money, school, is an imaginary thing. It's a designed game in your imagination. We agree to play. So the story of America was democracy, written in the Constitution. And the people who understand how you do that by putting out propaganda can then influence you to make it do things it wasn't meant to do, and then go in and break it down. And then you've got people not getting food and money because the greedy jerkhead on top of this. So if you feel completely unable to even comprehend how we got here, wake up. You are locked in a cave of your own design. You are in Plato's cave. If you don't know that story, look it up. Plato's cave allegory. And it's basically those people in a cave looking at shadows on the wall, and they're entertained. They're playing their games. They're doing their life, and everything's okay. It's not too bad. So they never look behind them. So all their lives, you're chained to a wall and you're watching shadows of other people's lives. If you want to be truly alive, break that cage and reach out. Make art. Art is the verb. It's the most important thing that you can be, because art is the telling of the story. It's about a photograph not being worth 1,000 words. It's worth 10,000 words. It is Schindler's List. That is a story about a whole generation lost to a tragedy that could have been undone and it was predicted, but no one stood up to face the challenge of what that is. So stand up, rise up, be a human, be of service to others first. You have to earn your rights as far as I'm concerned. Every person I meet, I say, there is God in you. I say namaste. And what that means is there's divine in you. In fact, Jesus, in the original scripture, before it was rewritten, so the Catholic Church and the kings could get together and control you and say, oh, we're the only way to God. You get to speak to us. No, it's sitting right inside your own human body. Every one of us got a divine in us. The question is it trapped in a cage and you don't even know it's there? Is it buried so deep that you need to hear more stories before you wake it up? And then you get into good trouble, necessary trouble, as John Lewis would say. That's it. So if you want free will, if you want agency, redesign the board, because the board was made by somebody else and it's being broken without you even understanding what it's doing. So in the case, what I'm calling to Adobe is this: everybody should be Taylor Swift. Imagine that all of us, because she rebought back from the masters that owned her property. I mean, the sad case is during his life. Why am I having a blank on this? Prince made less than 15% off of all his intellectual property. Michael Jackson, same deal. Who made it? Well, there was a frictional cost of making music and getting it advertised and putting it in stores and driving it in trucks. The friction went down with Netflix, and then we have Taylor Swift. She bought back all those assets by her managers and everything. She's a $4 billion a year economy based on one human being's output. And what does she do? Generously shares all of it, pretty much, except for what she needs to. So if all of us were born of responsibility, that when we rise, we realize we came from all humanity. We owe that debt back. So I have everything I could ever imagine. For the rest of my life, I'm giving it away. If you look at these billionaires and trying to give it away, Bill Gates, for example, and many, many others, Warren Buffett, same thing. In fact, they're not giving much to their kids. Why? Because they want them to earn it the way they did, which is to go on a journey, Frodo's journey to Mount Doom, whatever your ikigai is, go do that. So be the best human you can be. And I'm asking Adobe because they have Content Authenticity Initiative. If you're not familiar with it, C2PA, if you're on LinkedIn, you'll see a CR icon in the top left-hand corner. It says, this was created with AI. It knows that. It's simple. Why doesn't Facebook be mandated to do that? If you don't know why, look at the 230 doctrine by Bill Clinton. If we repeal that, Facebook's mandatory to do that, and then everybody in the world would be able to sue them because they caused them harm. And you're a copper top battery with no control over yourself. So I'm just going to say that about Meta. And why do they not allow that to happen automatically? Because it's free. Adobe gave this as a gift. Why didn't they? Because outragement. So when you see a picture that's a fake picture on Meta, what do? You go around trying to figure out, and you spend hours on their platform, eyeball time. That means you see a ton of ads, ka-ching, ka-ching. That's why. If they put that up, you would say, oh, that's a fake picture, and you'd move on, wouldn't you? Because you just say AI slop is labeled now. So what Adobe did is they have a way that's impenetrable. Once you put your name on it, then it keeps track of what you did to it. So if you added Photoshop fill and everything, it's a provenance list. Put a sidecar in their blockchain. Go help me get into the Etsy store, and I can sell T-shirts of everything after a background check is done. So I want them to take what was used to protect journalists' work, and the New York Times is an example. They put a story, a picture, a video into this vault, and it gets fingerprinted that you can't take it off. As soon as the picture is changed out for another one, it breaks the seal. It's a drug seal, right? So it's Tylenol, so it makes it safe. And then if anybody alters it, then you can't post it. The same way you put up a piece of music that's copyrighted, and I started playing on Facebook, and they had copyrighted music, it took down the audio. So it can do it. So I'm asking Adobe to step up to the next level, which to be the center of the creative economy, so we all, as individuals that create books, magazines, MP3s, all of my songs will be fully protected across the world. And they have the capability to do it. And I've been in talks today that it's practical, it's doable, but we have to get the nation states of the world to agree to it. And the metas.
And thank goodness you built them on Suno, and you're using Suno as a platform, because, and this is late breaking, udio.com signed an agreement with Universal Music Group, and just today, in preparation for what they're calling the next evolution of music creation, and in partnership with Universal Music, downloads from the platform are no longer available. So you can no longer download your own content that you made, but soon you'll be making tracks inspired by the artists that you love. So that is Udio's take on this.
So
And
that's
they did that rug pull without any warning. So if you're a Udio creator,
right.
unfortunately your songs are locked behind their platform.
Yeah, and I've read the contracts that Suno has. In fact, that's part of my my contract. So they give me commercial license. So I have that and I keep it. So I'm filing that with. So if you don't pay for the platform, you do not get commercial license to it. Same with Adobe. Now Adobe's super hypersensitive. It trained only on stuff it owned. That's a little bit fuzzy space. So let's go on to what Adobe has done. So this is the event. All right. This place was gorgeous. The weather was the 60s and 70s. I had my Adobe shirt on.
Hold that thought for 1 second, Rick, because there is one other piece of music news that is I think relevant to the conversation. Is that ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC, the major players in the music industry, like the powerhouses behind the music industry, have all collectively come together and said, you know what, we're going to allow a certain percentage of music creation to be empowered by AI. They're saying AI has always been at the cutting edge, or technology. Musicians have always been at the cutting edge of technology, and this is no different. So we're not going to be putting up the firewall and saying AI is evil. So it is AI more and more is getting endorsed by the music industry. And so we're starting to see the music industry realize that they can't beat them, so they're going to have to join
out of the
them.
bottle. Yes.
I see what you did there.
Yes. In fact, I have a solution to the other problem. So what you're seeing now is OpenAI already has contracts with New York Times, a couple other newspaper organizations, that their information, so they're paying them a fee. Perplexity has a fee payment system. If someone searches for a New York Times article, you give me permission and you get pennies off of each time they search. So they basically put a little fund that trickles out. Here's a solution for everybody. Every large language model, if you have a subscription to New York Times, you present your subscription identification to Perplexity or OpenAI or Gemini, and it opens up a channel where all the stuff behind the paywall is now available just to you. Anybody else says can't go into the New York Times. And they could make money off of selling subscriptions. So, Matt, do you have any subscriptions to any news services or anything like that you use?
Yes, I do. Washington Post and Ground News.
Okay. Ground News is great. If you're not familiar with it, it's an amalgamation of all news to give you whether it's left or right or center. And it does an analysis so you know when you read this story in this place, it told this way, that one tells you this. So it really gives you a ground foundation for what is truth in journalism. It's a beautiful product. Support it just because there's a lot of hard work involved in doing that. Curating the news and truthfulness measurement system. There's other systems that do it too. And being a journalist, I really applaud that kind of model. So here's what we're doing. We're learning how to drive a rocket ship. And all of us have driven a car, but a rocket's a whole completely different thing. So what I think is happening in the big picture of things is just like Napster comes out, what happened? We switched to an economy of micropayments because we're able to link it back to the artist in a blockchain system. So what I'm asking for Adobe is do the same thing. So whether it's music or whatever, fingerprint it so that no one can take it without me knowing it, and then put a sidecar, which you literally get an AI agent that you could hire for pennies on a dollar to push it to be a car commercial. Or you get social media to upres it. So you are Billie Eilish, right? So she's doing her music, she's putting it out there for free. And this is the change of artists. You're going to be putting it out there for free until someone says, oh my God, she's amazing. And then all of a sudden they craft a story around you. You get some real managers, or maybe you get started with an AI manager. So all the influencers on YouTube is the new economy system. You get upscaled and made more valuable as an influencer. How? Because you have social media story to tell. You make meaning. Mr. Beast makes meaning. Mr. Beast, one of the presenters that was most amazing, worked with Mr. Beast to plant 10 million trees using drones. Then they went up and cleaned up the oceans, 100 million pounds of ocean waste, because they got people with their influence to do a great thing. So imagine that if Adobe gave this to every single artist as a fundamental right, you own this, no one else can take it. And at the point of inception where you put your fingerprint on there, it checks to make sure it's not somebody else's.
So and I like Jeannie's comment here. It's like we've been driving AI on a permit, on a learner's permit.
Yeah, that's it.
The car is capable of going 100 miles an hour, but you're only allowed to drive it 25.
Right. And then so the shift is now happening. And so Avatar, so the James Cameron, who made Titanic and Avatar and everything, he came from Industrial Light and Magic and all those special effects houses. So he's embraced this. So he's using AI all the time. He's been using sort of an AI, but it's a much more expensive one with the mocap stuff. So his new movie coming out, which is, what is it called? Fire and Flame or something? It's a volcano based. So Underwater was the last one. The new one's coming out really soon. And he's using AI to do it. So instead of those those little ping pong balls all over somebody's face, they don't have to do that. Now you got AI tools that can do MoTrack that's perfect. So he's on the bleeding edge. And so it's not getting rid of jobs. It's telling you to become a better storyteller and giving you the option to do so, even if you don't have $1 billion budget.
Yeah. So and speaking of storytelling, you were going to tell us a story about your conference there.
Oh, yeah. So, so the conference, here it is. It's in LA. They got Waymos all over the place. This is the sneaks. This is my favorite thing. So here, I'm going to be able to show you a little bit about what's going on at the conference, but not too much. I don't have the videos editing and stuff like that. So, but the sneaks is where they show you what's next year. So I'm going to show you a couple of stuff. This is now. This is today. Here's all the new stuff in Photoshop, new features. So we've got Gemini Nano Banana in there for real, not in beta anymore. Now it's the full thing. And for free right now, as many as you want. So if you're a Photoshop subscriber, you get to do as many as you want for free. Not the video, because that does cost a lot more. Topaz Upscaler is in there. Firefly boards, you got a direct connection. So we've got cross-app integration, which I'm going to talk about a lot later. Send your Firefly to video. Harmonize, which takes a picture that's maybe pasted from one place. So I did a picture of an apple pie from one picture, cut it out there, put it on a table, but it's got no drop shadow and the color is coming wrong place. You click on Harmonize right in the generative fill bar, and bingo, there you are, making it look like it was born to the picture. I'm going to go in deep dive, and I'll do a whole Firefly 30-minute thing later at another date. I'm kind of exhausted now, but so that's happening. Premiere Mobile is on your phone, and you can actually generate sound effects, and you can actually generate an entire song to go as background music to your copyright-free content. So you can say, I want some easy listening music. So built into Premiere and Express, now get this, Premiere's on your phone, both platforms. And you can see here, they're just generating the sound by saying ocean waves gently lapping. So you've got some music video you just did. I started to edit my videos from all the stuff I did here. I just didn't get a chance to finish it yet. So that's there. Adobe Express is on there. They're all on the web. Photoshop's on the web. Illustrator's on the web. Yes, and they're collaborative. Premiere's on the web. And it's really, really good. So if you've used CapCut, if you've used Canvas, use Express and use Premiere. That's it. Here's the new models. Oh my God. So people don't quite understand. I think a lot of people come to me and says, what is Firefly? What's that got to do with anything? Firefly is the name for Adobe's AI. So the Firefly 4 model is current. Firefly 5 just came out. So if you weren't quite, there with the photorealistic and high resolution, guess what they did? Firefly 5 model's out. Vector model, that's better and new and improved. Firefly design mode, which means that you've got a flyer for a career expo, let's say, right? You can literally say, give me a career expo, do it in Spanish, and make it for the graphic design program at Broward College. Load up the information so you have chats with your designs. And then it makes the whole thing. That means you've got a layered document with text, with the typeface that's appropriate, color palette it picks up for you. So you're talking your way. So if you're not a world-class designer like I am, you could just talk it and make it so. And I can make stuff that's just wow. Firefly video model now includes VO 3.1. Yes, the fast one. Firefly audio model, which means complete songs in the background. Firefly sound effects. So you could say rocket launching, and then you could say, oh, so you can actually make voice sounds like a rocket launching or a lion roar. And then it's timed to your video. So it synchronizes it because you're generating when it comes in and out. And there's a ton of new stuff there too. Firefly 3D model. You can just think it, and you got a 3D model that you can flip it around 360. Oh my God. Okay. So now here are the newest ones, including Ideogram, Marvy by Moon Valley. Moon Valley is another word that's going to be a whole other thing. Pika Labs is inside of Firefly, and all, again, Firefly. It's going to show up in Photoshop. It's going to show up in Express, and it's going to show up in Firefly itself. So Firefly is all this is in one place. Firefly Boards is a subordinate place where you can collaborate with 100 of your friends at your company to work on storyboarding through a project, mood boarding something, and generate video, audio, and everything, and then edit in there and add it all together. Holy cow. Hand me another beer because I'm going to need it because this is just getting started. So here's what's really cool. So the new generative power tools going along with Firefly, Adobe's AI, is Google, OpenAI, Runway, Black Forest Labs, which makes Flux, which is really good, Runway that does video that's really cool, 11 Labs for audio, Luma AI, Topaz for upscaling, so all of their best models and everything, and Pika, which does some really freaky things, like you could take a picture of your cat, turns into a stuffed animal, and then hand squeeze it. And there's like 30 of those kind of special effects things. And Ideogram, which is the best at text, are built in. Oh, so my subscription to Krea, Krea, if you haven't used it, I don't know if I need to use it anymore because it's built into the tools I've been used to. So that's it, right? And then, okay, so this blew my mind because I didn't know about it. So I have meetings with Adobe, and we sign non-disclosure. So a lot of this I knew about. I did not know it was going to get to Ideogram, and that's one of my favorite tools to use every day. And Black Forest and some other ones too. Topaz, 11 Labs. I really want to see what that does because I'm paying for subscriptions, $20 a month to every one of those. And now my Adobe plan is going to have it built in and integrated with the whole ecosystem. So this is where we're getting. Now, imagine that you're trying to design something and you had ChatGPT built in. Well, Adobe now has that in all their products, including Express, like I just talked about, that Friday night kind of thing that you wanted to make. You want to make a Halloween poster for your family to hang up, or you want to send out a card for your dog's birthday to 20 people in different languages that they speak. That's conversational experiences powered by AI agents. So you got all the models, even including 3D, which isn't on here. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff. They did this live. They generated this because styles are now a thing. Character styles. So if you know that from using Ideogram, using Midjourney, style references. And Firefly has had it, but it hasn't been great yet. This is great. So here's a quick little video.
Onto the road below. So again, this takes about a minute. So we're scooching on over.
So there's the still picture to start. This is what VO did with it. Yeah. Whoa, right? And that was just the beginning of it. Okay. So here's Adobe Illustrator. So this guy was really funny. Can you hear the audio, Brandon?
Yep.
Okay. So this guy's really funny. It goes on for a little bit, but I'm going to play the whole thing because it's really funny. So he was just hilarious. So he first started off, oh, here's really cool. Anybody out there using Illustrator? You see all those layers that are called layer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? It now renames all your layers for you if you ask. So Yeah, you got 10,000 layers. So here's a sketch. He just did the sketch. That's all he did.
So I made this for a client. He's like, "Uso," right? And then I started vectorizing the body, and I vectorized the head, and I vectorized some of the background. And my
From the
client,
sketch.
Michael, wait up, dude. I like him. You know, he kind of reminds me of a mini version of you. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then he's like, well, the pose, the pose is a little static. We need to make it more dynamic. We just turn his head a little bit. Turn his head. Take him like 2 seconds.
Turn
2 seconds.
his head.
Turn the whole thing. Hey, he was probably right though, because look, we got this new tool called turntable. Look at this. It's gonna turn our flat vectors.
So that's drawing the backside that wasn't even in the original picture.
You wanna mess with me? This is my client. This is my client's like, nah, I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that. Hey, I don't like you. I don't like the competition, man. Hey, wait, watch this, everybody. So, hit my command Y. It's not just turning flat images, it's giving us editable vectors in every angle. This is powered by Firefly. This is a type of AI that I like, just stuff that saves me time, gives me all that control. All right, let's get rid of this guy. He's a little too aggressive. He's a little too aggressive for the max save. Let's bring his buddies in. You want to see his buddies? Yeah. All right, look at this guy. He's got droplets. He's got puddles. You ready for level 2? He's like, can you turn these puddles? Can you turn the droplets? He's like, yeah, you can. Yeah. This guy, he just wants to dance for you all. He's like, Hey, we can change the perspective here. Look, hey, go from the top. Hey, turn from the top. Turn from the bottom. Okay. He's getting a little too excited, everybody. He's getting a little too excited. He's about to explode. Always watch this. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, hold up. Let's do that again, guys.
I love demos,
it's all
right?
Good. It's all good. Turntable right here. Boom. And then watch this, homies. Bam! Look at that. It just exploded every single angle.
Hold my beer. That's vector. Okay. So this is Firefly boards, just to give you, this is the next one that's kind of cool. I shot these handheld and I was in pain because I didn't have my meds with me. But so, it's going to move a little bit, but you get the point here.
Move on. It's awesome. So let's move on to a fresh board, shall we? Right in here. This is
Paul Training, good friend of mine.
Start with your own toys, your own assets, your own designs, maybe design and content that
watch him take these and arrange them.
Even from here, we can take this and clean it up like so.
There we go.
What do I have in here? Jumping in. We got our Illustrator file right there. We got our Photoshop file. We got a video file. Right? I don't know why it's there. I can play with it. It's super fun. It's not only about dropping in images, it's about creating in here. Right? And that's what I want to do right now. Creation and brand new in good old boards. And what we have is we have the ability to use presets. Presets are like little recipes or basically little shortcuts to do anything you want. I encourage you to scroll through this. I feel like we keep adding things. Well, let's play with one.
Oh, the spooky one's great for Halloween, by the way.
Yeah, select it. Select an image of this guy, gray on gray on gray. Let's help him. Right? Generating Electric Party, which gives me Twilight Diner vibes with iridescent outfits. It's going to get a little embarrassing for me if you don't mind. I'm just going to kind of scroll over, please. I don't know why I'm doing this, but, they make me. Oh, yeah. Fashion forward, suffer. See you at the next dash. Hello. Make the real Muppets. Oh, yeah, look at this. Come on now. Rocking the platform heels above the 6 foot, everybody. I love it. Make your dreams come.
So there you go. So Paul Training had a bunch of fun. So it keeps character consistency. So it's using Nana Banana. Now those presets, which there are dozens of them, you can actually make your own and then add a preset. What it basically is it's a set of prompts that you're preloading and then you're letting someone just take a face and then execute, right? So that's Google's real cool thing. And then every one of those. So if you're ideating as a professional designer and you want to try out different things, or I'm going to do this with a professional. So I sat at the booth, and everybody came to me was a professional with a problem. Workflow for I had somebody from Sprint, I had somebody from Google actually came over, and he was asking me about my advice about this workflow, and also like a mom and pop group that they do all the cell phone companies that sell the cell phones for Sprint. So they have to put up together ads for the local company that's selling these phones to the public, franchisees and that kind of stuff. And so they wanted a workflow. So this is it. This is the workflow of the future, because you can feed it in one way and then you can get it do a bunch of other stuff. So I was just having some fun. And one of the cool things you can do is iterate, of course. But I had some fun here by having a tea party under the sea. Now you'll listen to the music. That's VO's music and sound effects. That twirling thing is all completely. I said, in fact, the really cool thing I learned today was you can make a prompt. So I had all these objects. I had a turtle and I had things. I said, make it a tea party. Oh, it was above land, and it was a teacup and a bunch of different things. So I picked 3 or 4 pictures, and I said, turn this into an underwater tea party and make it with ocean animals. Then there's a little T in down where you prompt it using Nana Banana that says, take it and turn it, extrapolate to a whole paragraph with detail, things like cinematics, effect, photographic reel, and then a shallow depth of field, etc. And then it generated this without me doing anything more than that. So that's kind of cool. So I'll go over here, and you've seen this already. And that's my Imagine book. And then I found that I could do this. So I'm doing this now in Nana Banana inside of Firefly boards. So today I went and I did this. So let's take a look at what we're looking at here. On the left, you're picking which pictures you're going to go have source material. So there's the picture that goes into image number 1. You can add photos to this list. You can put 2, 3, 4. When you're using Nana Banana, which you pick the sort one up here, it's then you say, can you turn the mom in this picture, African-American mom and child, blah, blah, blah. And then this is that little text thing. This supercharges your prompt. Sometimes it says too much, and I want to just, I spelled Labrador puppy wrong, but you basically see what it did. So in the future, what I'm going to do is allow you to upload, and I'm trying to get Google to actually make this a thing and give my book to the world, so that you get to put your child in the 64 frames that makes up my book, just to give you an idea what the book overall is about. It starts every month is a book that the parents read to the child. There is something about it where they joke about something, like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and then the cat imagines that meatballs are falling on the sky, how great that would be. So then they go through a portal, because when she falls asleep, she has a dark thought about she's got a recital tomorrow, whatever she's got going on. And then she goes through that portal, and M is her bravery. Inside of every child is a brave soul. And imagination comes when you have words on a page that turn into a story between you and your parents. It's the grounding of curiosity, creativity, and imagine. That's why the book's called Imagine. I want to give this gift to the world. I want every child to be able to enjoy it, no matter who they are, whether they have 2 male parents or 2 female parents, or whether they're they or whatever, and they have an iguana as a pet. Upload a picture of who you are. And maybe in the future, I don't know if I want this to happen, but you could actually upload your voice, and this becomes animated. So the storyboard becomes a storyboard of your child's imagination, told from your lens, and then you can edit it. And every time it mentions the name Laura, it'll name your cat or dog's name, or your son or daughter, or whoever it is in your life, because the story of imagination is everything to the human endeavor. And this book needs to be out there. So I did a song that talks about this. You've heard this before.
Imagine a world where the stars shine bright.
So there's the front and the back of it. I imagine 12 books, the greatest books of children's literature that's available for, basically 5 to 10 years old. Or you could have them collector's edition and be a Christmas gift that you give to the world. That's what I hope. And in the back, she goes on an adventure with her cat to find herself. her ikigai, her my why, her power, her bravery that's embedded into the cat that comes out the other end alive and beautiful, imagining a world that's better than it is. And then so the little stories about Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs become your story with your Labrador or your Shih Tzu or whatever animal you have. And then maybe it can be turned into, whatever you want. And so now we've got that capability. If you'll notice a couple other things that I'm going to point out here, you can choose landscape and 16 by 9, etc. with Nana Banana and all those other models I look for. It also tells you right now it's free to generate all images, everything in Firefly. Start doing it now because it's gonna. I think it's December 1st. I think I had a slide. I thought I had a slide that told you. I think it's December 1st that it's not free anymore. So I did this over in. So imagine everybody's story, and then I have merchandise, right? So one thing I learned from George Lucas is 70% of the money he made was from his merchandise resales. Actually, 80% of all money he made was from merchandise resales. All the games, all the toys, all the everything. So I want to imagine a world to be everyone's imagination world. And then I want you to be able to decorate it with, licensed materials that I can get rich. There's nothing wrong with getting rich off of doing beautiful things for people. If you add value to their world, if you want a little octopus or whatever. And so all I did, so if we take a look at the bottom pictures, I basically created this idea for a scene. The one thing I'll have to fix is that looks a little bit too like Dory from, from
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. Thank you so much. It's been a while since my kids were that small. Although I have watched that movie again and again. But anyway, even Toy Story isn't a story about special effects. It's a story about your childhood. And the saddest part for me is when the box of toys gets left behind. I cried for days because it was my lost innocence. I actually have a pet octopus I have in my bed right now. And then the people from D2L gave me a little bear because I asked some question or whatever. I've got those toys. I've got Star Wars figurines all over my computer. Why? Because I'm a 5-year-old kid and I'm having a hell of a time. And when you can go back and tell the story of what it was like to be 5 and you can share it with somebody else and you can be vulnerable, you can be authentic to who you are. I'm proud. I would put this in my home. And so when the mom says, "You're like a wild thing, look at your hair, let's go brush it before bedtime," it's every human story. It's every kid that has messy hair and needs a mom to brush. And it's about the love and the time that brushing your hair means to you. It's about remembering that you were scared of the dark at one time. And it's your cat's ears and your dress that really is causing the problem. And then you go through a portal because your next day it's a dark, dark world. And in that dark pit, the cat goes through first, of course, because he is your avatar of bravery. And he can speak to you. He says, "Oh, it's dark in here. Oh, there's somebody crying. Wait a minute. It's a monster." And Laura says, "Oh my God, let's go back to bed." Or your son's name, Noah. And so Noah says to M, "I'm going to go back." And she says, No, he's crying." "Why is he crying?" says Noah. "Because it's his birthday and he's 7, just like you tomorrow. And he doesn't have any friends." "Oh, I wonder if my imagination can do something about that." So she comes from this pain point. She's worried about too many people at her party because she doesn't like to be the center of attention. That's my daughter. That came from my daughter's story when she was 7 years old. And we had 30 people over, every one of the family members to celebrate with this giant birthday cake. And then we started singing happy birthday. And she looked, it was a Barbie cake. So the dress, it was a licensed Barbie cake, whatever. And everyone who was around started singing happy birthday to her. She ran to her room and stayed there for 2 hours. So she was this child too shy to enjoy it, right? So she goes through and then she decides her imagination can create a party for this monster. And I did this all in ChatGPT, but now I can do it even better quality. And she wakes up and she realizes that shadow on the wall was just her dress and some party hats that cast the shadow. And she realized she's got nothing to fear. And she wakes up in her pajamas with balloons on it. And then she has a party. And the little Easter egg in here is that one of the Wild Things characters is in the far left. I said one of the presents she gets is a Wild Things doll. And then it turned into a kid that's celebrating her birthday. So, you go to sleep and you have a recital for voice the next day. Angelina Ballerina, dad says, you know what? You've been singing with your cat for so long. You're going to be spectacular tomorrow. And oh, by the way, can you ask your cat not to sing along? Because his voice is nowhere near as good as yours. So then you go through a portal and then you start to get nervous and you go through the portal with your cat. And then it's a very dark. So M says, Noah, the place is dark, but it's a wonderful field. Maybe, I don't know, some grass. It's just like a beautiful, I can't see it all. And so the cat says, well, I mean, and Noah says, I want to go back to bed, because that's what a kid will do, right? I don't want to go into the darkness. I want to go back to bed where it's safe. And the cat says, no, you got to practice some more because you got your recital tomorrow. Remember what dad said? It's the amount of time you put into it, the effort you make, that makes you good at something. So she starts to open up her mouth, and all of a sudden, one star after another comes out, and it lights up the entire night sky. Now, you'll notice in the picture, she is not the same character. The cat's a little bit different, a couple of them. This is what I'm going to go back and fix with Nana Banana, because now I've got a character reference that will remain consistent. This was ChatGPT 2 years ago. I did this image. But that's kind of where we are. And then Noah gets up on stage and belts it out and wows the crowd and the parents. But that's going to be...
it's the original Choose Your Own Adventure book or personalized story that is now customized using the power of AI. And, we're not that far off in a world where you could just have your kid look up and to the left and say a few numbers, and then that's actually them in the story.
Yeah. And I think that's it, isn't it? That's what we're here for. We're talking about what it is to be more human. And, we talked last week about what it is to make a mistake. What do you do about it? The Kintsugi moment. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about today, Brad?
Speaking of more human, there is one other thing that is kind of late breaking that I wanted to share with you here as I put my screen up. So everybody knows ChatGPT. And so one thing that I latched onto pretty early was, and thank you, by the way, for sharing that story. I love it every time I hear it. It never gets old. One of the things that not a lot of people know about, I think it's less popular, is custom GPTs, where you can actually pre-train ChatGPT on a very specific thing. So if you want one that specializes in vegetarian recipes or understands the instruction manual that you didn't read.
And there's thousands of these, right?
There are literally tens of thousands of these that people have made. And so to see them, you go to this Explore tab. If you've ever never seen this before, it's the Explore tab, and it'll bring you into this.
Now,
initially they called it the GPT Store because they were going to try to monetize it, and that didn't work out. So now it just says GPTs.
Do you have to pay for a subscription to ChatGPT to get that?
If you want to make them yourself, you do have to pay, but they are now available to anybody with even a free subscription. And so that is why I'm sharing this, because Rick, I'm sure you've heard that there is a lot of questions and a lot of limbo surrounding SNAP benefits here coming into the end of the month. Starting November 1st, there's the potential that people who are receiving SNAP benefits won't receive them for November. And it's going to create a crisis situation for a lot of people that are very reliant on those programs. And there's a whole bunch of organizations that are trying to pull resources together to offset that challenge. But it becomes a challenge. If you have been reliant on that, you might not know where to go. So first thing you know is United Way is fantastic. 211, you pick it up, you call them 24 hours a day, anywhere in the country. They've got volunteers that can help you. That's the number one thing. But if you're like me and you want to apply technology to it, you can come in here and just search for help after SNAP. Or just the word SNAP, you'll find it. You'll find this GPT that I made today. And so if you want to start a chat with the custom GPT, I made this. And so you can ask it to find food assistance near you. You can connect with 211 style services. You can create a resource list if you're a care worker or a volunteer that is trying to help people. You can create a resource list for one of your clients, and then you can just say, "Hey, what do I do after losing Snap? I've got 2 kids; they're hungry. What do I do? I'm lost." And it will treat you with empathy and compassion. I'm really sorry you're going through this. Losing SNAP benefits can make things feel uncertain. And so
Oh,
here are all of the details. You can give it your local zip code. And I can say, this is my local zip code here, and it's going to say, I have no idea where that is because I typed it wrong. But it's saying it found the right state, so it's immediately showing me my food bank in the area, as well as the United Way of Lake County. So this is available, and if you're not on ChatGPT or you don't feel comfortable, because not a lot of people are on ChatGPT, but where everyone else is. Facebook, Instagram, and Meta. So if you go over to your Messenger app and you say, I want to talk to the AI generated chat, Susie Snap Helper, the same content and information is available in the Instagram avatars section. So you can talk to this person on WhatsApp. You can talk to the person on Instagram Messenger or Facebook Messenger. And so, need help finding a food bank near me. It's going to do that same search. It's going to be a little bit different. And this is what it looks like on Facebook. You've got a little avatar here, and it's because Meta already knows everything about me. It knows where I am. And so it's, finding relevant stuff near me.
Okay,
And
we
so
have our
those are
next
both
episode
available
right
and
there,
for
Brendan.
free.
I want to go into deep dive and do this and also make gems too.
Yes. Well, so funny story. I actually did. If you if you are one of the few that are on Gemini, I shared this on Twitter. I do have the same gem that is available on Google, and it is free, but you have to sign in to Gemini before the link works. We found that out on Twitter. So we're like, hey, your link doesn't work. So I did some digging before the show, and I found out you have to sign into your Gemini account in order for the gem links to work. But Instagram, ChatGPT, just go. So yeah, just trying to put it out there into the world and see if we can, help a few more people find assistance.
Brandon, I'm going to say a couple things. First of all, I love you, man. That's the most beautiful thing, right? That's what we should all be doing, whatever skills we got. How did you even know about all this? What got you started in thinking about what you would do with it?
It was a conversation with ChatGPT. Actually, I was reading
So
the
do you have any
news and
background with dealing with people on assistance of any kind?
I knew that United Way had some resources, but from what I was seeing on their website, it was the aggregation of content. So it's kind of like my IMNAV thing that I did with Lovable a few weeks back, where it's just aggregating content that's already out there. So much of the internet anymore is it's so content rich, it's hard to find the right resources. And AI is really good at finding resources and kind of cutting through the clutter and analyzing large chunks of data to return what is relevant to you. And to the search engine's credit, if you go to Google AI mode and ask it something about Snap, it's going to return the same resources. But this is about meeting people where they are, people who are already on ChatGPT, people who are already on Instagram, having that conversation in a private way that feels comfortable to them.
Yeah. So Bob's asking, can you show us how to set this up? Now, Bob, here's what I'm going to ask both you and Jeannie and whoever else is listening to this. I want to make this thing with AI Salon. I'll co-do it with everybody. Let's think of what we can do to take action in a world that is scared of AI, to make them fall in love. I think what's so cool, in fact, when I talked to the guy from Google, he's pretty high up in the whole food chain there. He said that Nana Banana was an offer to try to make AI accessible and fun. Because if we can make fun of ourselves, the same way Sora is, if we can act like children approaching it, it's not a giant monster in the closet. It's not a rocket ship that explode on the launch pad. It stops being the Terminator, and you get a chance to be a 5-year-old kid again and play around. I think that's most beautiful. So could you demonstrate just kind of briefly the concepts of creating a GPT and how simple it is? So
Yeah,
let's
so
say,
I'm still in Google here, so I'm just going to
okay,
talk. If you've logged into Gemini, you'll notice on the left here they have gems above your
okay.
chats,
So to
and
be
you can
clear,
explore the
gems
gems.
gems are to Gemini what ChatGPTs are in OpenAI's ChatGPT.
Yes.
So you're
Yep.
creating,
And so you've got when you're in your gem manager, you'll see the ones that they've created publicly, like the
okay,
storybook one where you can build a storybook. They've got a brainstormer one, and they've got a whole bunch of them. But you can create a new gem, and when you create a new gem, it's going to bring up a dialogue. Say, give me the name of the gem, give me the description of what it is, and give me the instructions. And then, so in this case, I said, and again, I didn't write this. ChatGPT wrote this. So I had a conversation with ChatGPT. It says, okay, I want to write a custom GPT, a custom model.
right,
Give me the instructions to instruct the large language model to help people. So it came up with this thing, and then I just hit publish, and it was just that easy. Inside of ChatGPT, kind of the same thing. If we go to explore GPTs, you can create a new GPT and you can go through all of that information, or you can just talk to ChatGPT. You come over
right,
here to the create button and says, hi, I'll help you build a new GPT. You can say, make a creative who helps generate visuals for new products, or make a software engineer who helps format my code. What would you like to make? And you just talk to it. I said, I want to make an assistance, resource guide for people who might be losing their SNAP benefits and help them find local resources.
yep. It's this natural
45 seconds later, I'm publishing it and it's available in the GPT store.
Oh
And
my
then it
God,
allows
that's
you to
beautiful.
generate images,
Yeah,
and it has the ability to search the internet. It's using GPT-5, so it's using the latest technology.
right.
And so yeah, this is and then on Instagram it's a little bit different. You got to go to aistudio.instagram.com, and then you can create an AI. They've got some templates that you can do, or you can just describe what your AI does. So they all have this model where you just describe what the AI does, and then
Right.
it builds it for you.
So let's give a
And
scenario.
and
Go ahead.
yeah, and Rick, if you thought character AI was whew, some of the public AIs in the Instagram world are would make character AIs blush.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, Instagram. I worry about Meta because it does not have a good track record with being kind to humans and being an extraction economy. And Grok also. I mean, if I want to go be nasty and I'm an adult, that's your business. But when we're talking about kids, we just got to be the adults in the room. Stand up because this is absolutely the Wild West. You
Yeah,
hear stories about the Wild West was drinking and women and whatever, and it was just killing people, just because they looked at you funny. I mean, that's kind of where we are. So you got people, bad actors and good actors, but let me get back to the core idea. So for those who never tried to even make a GPT, it is so simple. Now, did you take and make it for Meta as a separate object, or did they cross pollinate, or can you take your GPT and publish it to Meta?
I took the same instruction model,
Okay.
so I took the same set of instructions and just
Okay.
gave it to Meta.
So let me walk everybody through what I actually did and working on right now. So for Upskill USA, I'm doing a whole 8-hour seminars for people who just got laid off, and I'm doing an assessment tool that they feed in their resume. And this is the GPT I've already created, and I'm testing it now. And they're from every industry, so airlines, truck drivers, etc. I took the most at-risk people, the people that right now have just lost their jobs, and I said, take their resume, ask them a set of questions that would help find what their skill set is. So one of the ones was, so I talked to my roommate. So this is a really pro level one. So I'm showing you. I mean, it's certainly yours is pro level. So if you have a subject matter expertise about the subject, it helps to help define the parameters. So the goal of mine was to feed in your resume, answer 10 questions real quickly. So it's basically a conversation that you set up a set. At each stage, it says upload PDF of your current resume. Then it says, what are you good at? So I asked my roommate just to kind of test this out. And I thought about, so she's a flight attendant for American. What are the skill sets of flight attendants for Americans, right? So what are the future proof roles? Creativity, curiosity, social and emotional intelligence. So they deal with difficult people all the time. If you've flown on planes lately, oh my God. So they're most empathetic and polite people. So what job would they be good at in an AI world? So it basically is giving you a what color is my parachute test for your skill sets as a human being. And I spent hours crafting it so that no matter what you put in, it would tell you and analyze. So I had the Myers-Briggs thing and the personality thing. So I'm having 10 tests being put together. So it gives you 10 questions that are the best it's going to get to the next step. If it has any thoughts about it's not quite sure still, it will ask follow-up questions to get more refined. Then take my resume, rewrite it, put it in machine readable code format, add any notes that you want to do. And in the truck driver's case, I went through this whole deep dive. So I did it with multiple scenarios, but my goal is that not only will it give you, my goal long term is to plug it in so it searches all the job banks. So everything from glass ceiling to all the job search engines. So then it would look for people with that skill set in the places that you want to live. So it'll ask you questions about where do you want to live? What's your next job going to be? And it's going to be basically, you could put it in the unemployment line and it would activate finding you the perfect job for you that's at the pay you're used to, etc. And so at the beginning of each one of my seminars, I have them walk in, they've got an assessment sitting there. Then I say, well, now what do you go do next? So you've got this new rewritten recipe, and then you go and you feed it in again with more information that only you know about you. So the truck driver fixed automobile cars and worked with diesel mechanics. And then, so the truck driver's scenario was go back to the work for the company you worked for 30 years, which is out west. There's a bunch of snow. So you know logistics about where the bottlenecks are in supply chain management. So you're the supply chain manager for the same route you drove, and you know that it gets slippery in ice, blah, blah, blah. So if it's an AI driving that truck, you got to know what to do about and what's going to happen. So you've already got the logistics figured out. And then you repair the robots, or you have a fleet of people who repair them, keep them operating, and the trucks because you're a diesel mechanic. So, and then you go back and you say, give me at a community college, there's a course. So I'm actually designing courses for community college for each one of these outputs. And that is a course that teaches you about the robotics, about how to maintain them, how to do what you do, but then with your new skill set. So you go back to your boss, and it handwrote a letter to the boss, and it said the following. I was making $80,000 a year when I was away from my family for all these hours. So I've done this with 5 profiles right now. And so what it did is it then wrote a letter to your boss. And if you didn't know this already, every corporation has a 4 times multiplier. And here's what it is. I hire you for let's say 100,000 a year. I'm making 400,000 a year because you are there doing that job. You get 100 of it, and I keep 300. That is every job from fry cook at McDonald's. If you don't give that company 4 times more value than what you put into it as being an employee, because there's tons of expenses, right? So maybe the second 100 goes to your healthcare and everything else going on, and then the final 2 is profit. So so he goes back and he says, I'm now worth 400,000 because automated trucks has saved you $1 million a year. Give me a percentage of that and give me 200,000 or 300,000. I'll do these jobs. After 6 weeks, you let me go back, get my training. I get to stay home with my kids and watch them grow up. And then I went to a really deep dive, and you know how I get right. So I went into, what does he need to hear? He needs to say, hey, build your confidence up, because guess what's about to happen? You're going to hand this letter showing the return on investment in giving you this new job and sending me back for 6 weeks. And it's written by ChatGPT, and it's inside this app, right? This GPT. And then he can't turn you down because he's already told you what we're going to do. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what you could do. We got 2 of you now.
I know. I'm in.
You're in stereo.
But
anyway,
that's what I get for making fun of your MacBook earlier. And now my Windows PC's got I got to get onto the action.
But the bottom line, so to land the plane, because we're about out of time here. I think a GPT, it's basically what do you not know about even? Because so you have a first conversation with your chosen model, Gemini, ChatGPT, wherever, even Perplexity or Claude if you want to, and you tell it what you're trying to write. So it's just like, hey, ChatGPT, write me a prompt for ideogram. So then it looks up what's the best way to make prompts for ideogram. How do you make a GPT? Well, use ChatGPT for, etc. So you go through that query process. So for mine, it was a very deep dive, took a lot of effort. But then I said at the end, make one where stage 1 is this, stage 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I thought I need to create a different GPT if you need coaching after you've gotten the first GPT, which rewrote your resume, rethought about what your skill set is. So it does a Myers-Briggs, what do you call it? A SWOT, strengths and weaknesses
And SWOT
analysis.
analysis, yeah.
SWOT analysis, who you are as an employable person, and then what your skills are that are great in the AI age. And then I had to define what is great in AI age. So I spent a lot of time, but the simpler project. So how long did it take you to do what you did?
Across all 3 models, 15 minutes.
Oh, Jesus. Oh my God. So I was sitting today and I'm thinking that this might be one I do. So one of my best friends from the community experts, I just met her in person this week. She's in a wheelchair and she works for the government. She does all these graphics for the government. In fact, for the military, she creates all the websites, her team does. And she got furloughed. So as a side job, she teaches the community college. That's why we, kind of got to know each other really well. So Andrea is her name. And I hope she's watching too, because I told her about the channel. And so she's been furloughed. So literally all of her money went away. And her side job was teaching community college because she loves it and she loves Adobe products and she's teaching, desktop publishing and everything over there. So could we make an app for that? And here's a big ask, Brandon. I know you have your weekly project that you do. What's the name of your AI salon?
AI Learning Lab. Mm-hmm.
Learning Lab. Would you want to do this and teach everybody how to make these and see if we can make some good in the world? And then next episode, I'll just devote entirely to the results. It's a thought.
Yeah, we'll talk about it offline. And in the meantime, if you have a patent application, one last piece of news that we're going to slide in here that I didn't get to earlier. Perplexity patents the world's first AI patent research agent that makes IT intelligence accessible to everyone. That came out today. So never a dull moment in the world of AI.
I don't know if you knew this story, but Albert Einstein was a patent clerk. He had to look at in pieces of paper. So he did that so often. His mind was in la la land, thinking first principles thinking. This story is quite famous because the reason why he came with theory of relativity is because nobody else would have. Because they were drowned in the glass chamber of knowing what they knew, and they weren't able to think outside the box, like quite literally.
Yeah.
It is and we'll talk about this later. It's move number 37 met with move number 78, God mode. And so go watch the film Alpha Go. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube. It's free. I guarantee you'll come out and you will thank me. It is the pivotal understanding of what AI is and what it is to be human. And I'm writing a blog about that coming soon too. So, but anyway, to land again the plane, go out and do good in the world. So Jeannie and Bob, join us as we think about what we might do in a little 15 minutes of your time. That's the same 15 minutes that Andy Warhol said you'd be famous, right? Well, let's be famous for doing good in the world and making a place where those people that are suffering right now have a champion, have someone that just puts their curiosity, their creativity. Brandon, I love you, man. That's the most beautiful thing. Every time you end the show, you make me cry, man, because it's like, that's it. I knew that when I met you that you were you were a brother of a different mother or a sister, whatever.
Yes.
That you were that person that I needed to have in my life. And thank you again for being a part of this and our mission. Yes, it is a mission to go to the stars and see what we can do to align ourselves with the North Star idea and to use our humanity to make the world better for ourselves and for everyone that we touch. And man, you just made my day. Thank you, sir.
Welcome to AITV Starship. I'm the AI guy. Rick McCauley launching news so fresh. Gotta see it to believe it. We break the wire with the stories that amaze. Deep dives come and lighten up your days. Tool Time shows you how we make it shine. Building futures with AI one step at a time. Yo, Rick, slow down. I'm Brandon, the producer. Save some tools for me. Shout out. I'm here bringing high-tech comic energy. AITV Starship. News deep dives and creation. AITV Starship. Learn. Laugh innovation. AITV Star Human Amplified. Catch the spark, ride the wave. Future's on our side. We got experts talking truth in the stream. Dreaming bigger, living stronger, building a dream. From therapy bots to AGI talk. We ask the hard questions while we walk the walk. Yeah, I'm the voice of the folks at home. If Rick's too deep, I bring it down to the bone. AITV Starship. News deep dives and creation. AITV Starship. Learn. Laugh innovation. AITV Star Human Amplified. Say it loud. RTV. The future worldwide. Ask not what I can do for you, but what you can do with AI. We're the dangerous people who get stuff done. And show you can too. Imagine a beautiful